Hi, I'm Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity, and it is Friday, November 6th, 2015. This is your weekly update. So let me start with the good news. The good news is I got my first 2 advanced copies of our new book that Adam Taggart and I wrote, Prosper, How to Prepare for the Future and Create a World Worth Inheriting. Very important topics. And I know, that sounds a little audacious, right? How can I prepare for a future and create a world worth inheriting given everything we see going on in the world? Let me get to that in a minute, but this book is packed with everything that we've learned in the past 5 or 6 years about how to help people do exactly those things. Become more prepared, be ready for the future, and actually be creating a world worth inheriting. Because this isn't about stuff you need to do for tomorrow, so you're ready for tomorrow. This is about doing things that are going to help you today so that you will be happier, healthier, wealthier, more well-connected. All of those things are going to be great attributes to carry you on into the future that could prove to be extremely valuable if certain futures arrive. So that's the book. I'm excited. This is the first I've actually seen it, so that looks good. Now, let's put those down. Here's why this book is more important than ever. As I look across the world, and I'm in the middle of writing a fairly lengthy 2-part report on what's going on in Syria. If you're reading the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, you're badly misinformed about what's happening there. We've known for years that the United States was going to be attacking Syria either directly or through proxy agents, and that's been in the works for a long time. And it's here now, but the reason this is really critical is that Russia, naturally protecting its own interests, has been invited in by Assad's government, and now obviously Russia's in there doing things militarily, and oh, by the way, they're bombing our guys over there, which includes such savory characters as the Al-Nusra Front and even ISIL, or ISIS. So Russia's been having a lot of success because they're actually serious about taking these targets out. The United States has frankly not been that serious about taking these targets out because it's really complex, right? Who are we rooting for here? You've got the Kurds, you've got 10 or 15 different splinter groups inside of Syria. Many of them don't even come from Syria. When they say Syrian rebels, they're not from Syria. These are Chechens, Pakistanis, Afghanis, Iraqis, from Qatar, Saudi Arabia. It's a mercenary and jihadist force that sort of descended on Syria, I don't know, to make a point or because there's funding or they like fighting, I don't know. So they're all there. And the United States really wants Assad out, so it has to play with some of these groups and fund them, but it's kind of messy. And then you got Turkey, which doesn't like the Kurds at all, but really wants to support the anti-Assad regime because they would love to see Assad gone. You've got Israel doing whatever it's doing in that whole region. It's just, the whole thing's just a mess, right? So if you don't understand it, it makes a lot of sense. I'm not saying I'm going to completely understand it either, but I do understand this. The risk that this confrontation, essentially between Russia and NATO, the West, or some Western counterpart, it's higher because we have planes flying around in a relatively small place. We've got the United States saying that they're going to start shipping, in addition to TOW anti-tank missiles, maybe portable anti-aircraft missiles, getting them only to moderate rebels again. Good luck with that, right? So this mess has a chance of getting messier. And this is just something that's been a part of our philosophy at Peak Prosperity for a long time, simply that if you're going to stir a pot, sometimes the chance of something happening that you didn't intend is higher. So we're watching all of that, tracking that, and looking at all of that. That's just one mess that's going on there. Obviously, the United States is also militarily frictioning with China over the Spratly Islands and those sand lumps that they formed in the ocean over there on the South China Sea. So militarily, there's a lot of things going on. And then we're watching Europe, which has to deal with the fallout of the United States' desire to get Assad out of power, which has led to this civil war, which has led to millions of refugees, 1 million or more of which are now headed directly for Europe. This is causing a lot of difficulty over there, in terms of sheer numbers, just how do you manage that influx of people, but culturally creating a lot of issues as well. So all of this is happening at the same time that we have the Federal Reserve merrily dumping more money into the markets, or maybe they'll raise, or maybe they won't raise rates. Who cares? What's happening is that the markets have been driven higher and higher. We're getting into deeply dangerous bubble territory? Could it go higher? You bet. How much? Lots higher, because that's the nature of bubbles. But when this one bursts, people, when this one bursts, I can tell you flat out, this is going to be the worst economic/financial crisis ever. And it's going to be very difficult to contain this one. And this is why I think the United States should be sticking to its knitting, getting its own house in order, building up our own infrastructure, making sure that our own people are looked after before we go on deciding which foreign government needs to change its leadership and all of that. None of our business as far as I'm concerned. And we do have a lot of things that are our concern, but we're not focusing on them here in this country, in the United States. And that's a sad thing. So at any rate, do you change through pain or do you change through insight? Humans change through pain, mostly. So I am predicting, and we are predicting at Peak Prosperity, that there's some more turbulence coming. It's going to be really painful. It's going to be a disruptive period of time for a lot of people, and it's not going to be a couple of months of scary market declines. This is going to be a really long, sustained, protracted sort of an event. And that's why we wrote the book, is to help us deal with that, because it's not just what do we do financially. In this book, you're going to discover that we have all these other forms of resilience or forms of capital that we need to be looking at. Social capital, very important. How many people do you know? How well do you know them? That's going to really determine a lot about how your future unfolds. Here's the most important one that we talk about in the book: your emotional or spiritual resilience or capital. Are you able to weather the storms when they come? Will you be able to roll with the insults and the punches as they happen? Will you be able, most importantly, to spot the new opportunities that will be emerging even as other doors are closing? These are things that require your mental mind frame to be in the game at those moments. So having this opportunity here now, while things are still relatively calm here in a lot of countries, although they're getting dicier in a lot of other places, to use this opportunity as the gift that it is to get yourself as ready as you can. And by the way, that gift will pay off no matter which future emerges. To have emotional resilience, very important. And come on to the site, check out the book, subscribe if you want to this particular channel. These are the kinds of things that we're talking about. I just mentioned a few of the things in the book. We'll be discussing all of these at our site, peakprosperity.com, over time. Until next week, I'm Chris Martenson. Have a great weekend.